beautiful people, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are addressing funding pitfalls, common mistakes that you need to be avoiding as a small business who wants to be going out there and applying for funding. My name is Tandisa Mahe, and I talk all things relating to business, making money, and the family life. Before we get right into it, I want to start by sending out a good shout out to everyone who is a subscriber to our channel, everyone who is continuing to support us. We truly appreciate it. And to you who is hopping on here for the very first time, we welcome you. And please consider subscribing. Please consider switching on the notification bell so that we are kept abreast of when we put out new content. Now, let's get into what we're here for. Now, when it comes to many businesses who are looking for funding, who are looking for financial support and resourcing of their businesses to grow them for expansion or whatever other purpose, we do not realize that the funding game has got so many different rules. And if you don't understand those rules, you disadvantage yourself. And there are basic rules that most businesses, when they apply for funding, they break. And that's the reasoning behind this video. I want to give you an insight into some of the pitfalls, into some of the common mistakes that are made and the errors, so that when you are now making your next attempt in applying for funding, you can make sure that you avoid this. Number one is incomplete applications. Incomplete or poorly completed applications. Now, each and every funder, when they open a funding call or a funding round, internally within their organization, their company, their entity, they will make a decision that this is what we are looking for in terms of the required documentation, the submission, the pack, what needs to be included, the evaluation, who's going to be winning, the criteria for who is supposed to be applying, the eligibility, all of those things. They decide these things ahead of time. Your responsibility is to then ensure that you adhere to those standards that have been set, which are always clearly communicated. The funder will always clearly communicate the expectations, but the mistake that we do is that we ignore these clearly stated and stipulated conditions for award of the fund, right? So and one area that we really mess up around is with the application. When a funding call goes out, there will be an application process that will be spelled out. Your first responsibility, even before you start to make a decision as to whether or not you match this fund, you qualify for this fund, and you are at the end of the day supposed to apply for this fund, is to first sit down and understand the terms and conditions that apply to this fund, the funding process, the guidelines that are presented in terms of how you are supposed to complete the application. And these guidelines will also spell out who it is that the funder is looking for, so that you can then be able to, as you assess this information, say, okay, I think that I can be able to qualify. I think that I am the right person that the funder is looking for. I think that my business can be awarded the fund. You cannot just go into the process without having done this assessment first. Number two, you then need to ensure that once you see that you qualify, go and look at the application process. Go and look at the application process. What are you required to submit? How many forms are you supposed to complete? What are the attachments that you are supposed to put in as part, or to submit as part of the application? And this is where we get it wrong. And we become discouraged, and we convince ourselves that our businesses are not fundable, and we convince ourselves that these opportunities are not real because we have decided to ignore one of the most important areas when you are going to be submitting your funding, which is ensuring that you submit the correct application, ensuring that you follow the application process to the T, ensuring that all the attachments that are required are submitted. Now, let me tell you something. If you decide to ignore this, it's okay, but your application is going to be null and void. You are basically setting yourself up for failure because there is no funder that is going to consider your application. So the best thing for you to do is to actually understand what is required of you within the application process, and then make sure that you follow it to the T. So avoid that pitfall. Avoid the pitfall of incomplete application and poorly prepared applications. Let's go to the second pitfall. The second pitfall is an unclear business model. An unclear business model. This is a terrible one. I fail to understand how it is that you can go to an investor, a funder, someone who's got resources, and you're not able to articulate your business model. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to break it down simply like this. I know that the business model in itself has got so many different aspects, and you can go and find my video where I was talking about the business model canvas. It's right here on my videos, so that you can be able to at least understand the 9 important elements within the business model. But I am going to say this though. At least master 2 main areas. Number 1, how are you going to make money? Number 2, how is the business going to grow? If you cannot articulate that part, then you are a turn off to a funder. And your application, it does not matter how good your business idea is, and even how good your business model is. If you cannot articulate it and it does not land clearly on the funder's end, then you're going to be ignored. You're going to literally be ignored. So it is important that you are able to sit down with yourself and your business. If you work with a team, great. If you work with experts, great. If you work with consultants, great. If you work with people like me, it's okay. Doesn't really matter who it is that you are working with towards your funding application process. But what is important is that you need to sit down and figure out how you can be able to present an answer to this question. How do you make money? How will you make money? How do you plan on making the money? And then once you've made the money, to a certain extent, at some point, you also need to reflect how you're going to ensure the growth of the business. Other aspects will come in later. But at least when it comes to the business model, and that's the main area that's important, because remember, the funder wants to invest, they want to resource, they want to inject capital, they want to inject money, they want to inject funds or financing into a business that will actually be making money and into a business that's going to grow. Obviously, funders have got so many different reasons why they give out money. Others, they're doing a giving back type of corporate social investment. Others are doing a contribution to the economy, which is they want more jobs to be created. Others are responding more on BBE benefits. Others are trying to reduce their tax, their tax liabilities. It's a lot. But what's important is that they will not want to put their money into any kind of business that does not show with clarity that it can make money and that it can be able to grow over time. Because imagine putting your money in a business that is not able to reflect that they will be making money. It's like throwing money away. Others are even other funders, they are trying to use the same pot to cycle it across different businesses. So they want to fund this one, and then this one is to pay the money back, and then they want to put it on the next business. So they don't want a risk or a danger of that money not being able to come back. So what I'm trying to say is that this is a great pitfall where you are not able to clearly articulate your business model. And I think if you don't even understand what a business model is, go to my video that talks about the business model canvas and at least try to open your mind and work on that one pager for your business before you can be able to go and be applying for funding. Now let's go to the third pitfall. The third pitfall and huge mistake that businesses, when they go and knock on funders' doors, they actually make is unrealistic financial projections. Unrealistic financial projections. Now, first of all, if you don't know what financial projections are, then you are not in a position to be applying for funding anyway. But basically, financial projections are a presentation of your business in numbers. So when you're working on your business plan, you're going to have your narrative aspect of the business plan that reflects the entirety of the business and how it's going to make money and how it's going to grow and how it's going to operate, the resources that are required, the people that are going to be there, the strategies, the marketing, the history in terms of the formation of the business, the visioning, the missioning, like the details around the organization, the market research, the segmentation of the market, who your customers are going to be, all of that. I know I've left a lot, the risks, there's a lot that you focus on. But then there's another aspect where, funders are interested to now see your business. Everything that you've said in a narrative element within your business plan, you need to also then say and present in numbers. When we do give you this money as a funder, right? or as funders, how are you going to be making use of this money? Show us in numbers. Present that picture in numbers. Now, what happens here is that the pitfall is that most businesses will do unrealistic financial projections, and your projections will include a lot of different things, but at least the basics must be there. Your cash flow statements, your outlay of your capital and your OPEX, your CAPEX and your OPEX, your capital requirements, your operational requirements. It must also reflect a statement of profit and loss, a statement of financial position for the business, and maybe some calculations around your labor costs, and also a reflection of your workings in terms of how you're actually going to be making the money, which is your profit projections, things like that. They need to be included within your financial projections. Here's where the mistake is. You become unrealistic. You become unrealistic. You cannot say that, let's say you're starting this business. Okay, maybe let me not say you're starting it. Let me say that you have already started this business and it's been operating for a period of 5 years. Now you want to expand. You say, you say to the funder, I have been selling 10 loaves of bread every single day for the past 5 years. And now I want to expand my bakery and I want to, tap into a wider market. And then in your numbers, you project that you're going to be making 50,000 loaves of bread per day from the first month, and that is going to flow for the next 3 to 5 years. That is so unrealistic, because what you're working from is 10 loaves. How do you jump from 10 loaves to 50,000 loaves? You can jump, but you need to reflect the how part, and it needs to be something that is practical. There needs to be an evidencing of that jump. It cannot just be, no, I'm sitting over here and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just going to make 50,000 loaves now. Like starting from when you guys give me money, because I will have expanded my factory. I will have, increased infrastructure. I will have the right machines. I'll automate the process and I will buy delivery vehicles and things like that. But how? The first problem with that scenario is if you are not evidencing how you've done, how you're going to get there, even in terms of the market. Have you received evidence that there is a need for 50,000 loaves? Because you can have the factory, you can have the infrastructure, you can have the capital injected into your business, but then you struggle at market. Because there is no way that you're going to jump from 10 loaves to 50,000 per day. There is no way. And I'm not exaggerating or making a silly example. These are practical things that we meet every single day within our consulting business. These are realities that we face. And these are realities that funders face as well. And they're like, no, man, we need to throw this out because this person is not able to articulate how they will get there. Now, someone who says, I have knocked on 7 different doors and have signed 7 contracts for off-taking of the bread. And this is not a letter of intent only. There is a contract. They have told me that we've agreed on this price and this is the delivery requirement that they have per day. 7 of these places are going to each be taking 5,000 loaves per day and things like, and then you're like, oh, okay, maybe. You understand? So you cannot have unrealistic projections where you are just stating a story that is like a wish list that is not based on any facts or any evidence. So then obviously if you say 50,000 loaves a day and you work this into your financial projections, it will reflect a certain picture, but that picture needs to be based on evidence. It needs to be based on concrete evidence that this is doable. You need to convince me as the funder that beyond a shadow of doubt, this can be done. So sometimes the reason why projections become unrealistic is because when we look at the evidence and the history that you've presented and now the picture that you're drawing, there's too much of a gap and you have not put anything in between to close that gap. That is another major pitfall. Make sure that your financial projections are realistic. If you're going to be ambitious in your planning, find ways to evidence the gap. But my advice, my expert advice is that it's better to grow gradually and make the business practical to the funder. That's where you will win. Even though you know that you are going to, at the end of the day, make the 50,000 loaves of bread a day, but start in a gradual process. Like say, okay, we're going to be, now that there were 10 loaves, so we're going to start with 20 to 25. or we're going to now do 50, right? At least that's better. And then over the next 6 months, we're going to be building our market base. We're going to be signing contracts. We're going to be increasing our exposure and brand awareness. We're going to increase our recognition into the market. We're going to put pressure on our presence. Over the next 6 months. And then from month 6, we're going to start now and increase at least to 100 to 200 to 300. It needs to be a gradual process that is realistic, that is practical, that once you present to a funder something that it looks like it needs magicians to happen, they're not going to look at your application. They're not going to look at, because they don't know where to find the magicians, and you're not one. And half of the panel does not even believe in that. Like me, I don't believe in that. So if you come and present a picture that shows a lot of unrealistic delivery, no one is going to give it a second chance. Let's go to pitfall number 4. Pitfall number 4 is actually another, it's a huge problem, an inability to articulate how the funds will be used. Like a lack of a clear plan on how the funds will be used. Now this, for someone who's listening to this video, they might actually think, hi boy, this is very funny. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Like, listen guys, we've seen this happen before. It happens all the time. Where a business wants funds. Hi, my name is Tandy and I run this chemical or let's say detergents manufacturing business, and I need money. Okay, sure. How much do you need? I need 500,000. All right, no problem. What are you going to do with it? Well, it will help me with paying some salaries. And maybe I can add a machine. You have already turned off the funder by that point. And if that's how you present in a one-on-one session, you are going to write that down. That's how you're going to present also in the documents that you're going to submit in your business plan. It's going to be unclear. Funders do not want a person who is unclear. And that is why I always say that. Sometimes we think we are ready for funding and we are ready for investment, but we're not. We're far from that. We sometimes convince ourselves that we are ready for resourcing, for financing, but we are not. Because when you sit down with the person and try to figure out what it is that they're going to do with this money, it's not coming through. You are not able to. It's not coming. It is not coming. This is a major problem. This is a huge red flag, okay? And it's important that you understand to the 10 rand, guys, to the 10 rand, how much do you need and what are you going to do with it? Don't try to inflate, I don't like the perception that funders are Father Christmas. Funders are not Father Christmas. Funders are working with limited budgets and they are looking for the best, the cream of the crop. When you are sitting over there and you're convincing yourself that I deserve the funds, and if they have got the funds to spend, why not spend it on me? No, that's the wrong attitude. You need to be, if it's only 55,000 rand that you need, don't say it's 350, because now you need to make a whole story for 300,000 that you don't even need in the business, and you're going to struggle to articulate that, because the reality and the truth is you don't need that money. And let me tell you, funders are smart. Don't come to funders and think that you can be smarty pants, okay? Because they are smarter than you. They're going to, they work with this every day, guys. Remember, they're working with these applications and they've been working with this process for a while. So they can hear it in the tone of your voice. They hear at your soul. If there's anything like that, they will hear at your soul that you'll be lying, you'll be cooking things up, and they're not going to want to help you. They are not going to want to help you, because when you are not able to clearly articulate what it is that you need the funds for. So do this favor. Go and look for quotations. After you've already sat down with yourself and figured out what exactly it is that you need in the business, evidenced from having run the business, that no, you know what, we struggle. We've got more orders than we can satisfy because our machine is small. So we do need a bigger machine, and this is how much the machine is. Okay, now that we have this bigger machine, it's going to result in this old machine was being used and operated by 3 people, but this bigger one will now need 6 people. So there is an element of 3 additional staff members that need to be catered for there. So second item. Okay, and then in terms of our electricity, we've been paying this bill because this machine consumes X amount of electricity electricity every single month because it's at this capacity. It's got these kVA. It's got this amount of power that it consumes. So that means there will need to be an automatic increase in our electricity bill because now the capacity has been increased. You understand? It's a process that you can actually follow. And every one of those is justifiable. So then you can have those 3 items on your plan to say, oh, okay. And then the next one, now we're going to need to expand in terms of our building because we need to move now to a bigger space. The square meters that are here, I cannot accommodate the new machine. You understand what I'm trying to say? These now are proper items that you can cost, and then you can come to a definite and specific amount. You can have a contingency fee on your funding application and say, okay, in spite of having calculated everything to the T, because of inflation, and you must also be able to give out like good reasons why you have the contingency, because of inflation or unforeseen costs or changes in the economy, and because these quotations have been given to me and I was told that they are valid for 30 days, and I know the funding process is like 4 months. So then I will also put a 20,000 Rand or a 30,000 Rand contingency fee. It doesn't have to be specific to what I'm saying. It's based on the size of the project, obviously. So that's good project management. You need to have a contingency fee. So that's how you kind of position yourself appropriately so that you can have realistic costing of what you want, and being then able to, when you're asked by a funder what it is that you're going to be doing with the money that we are going to give you, you are clearly able, like you are as calm as a cucumber, cool as a cucumber rather. You know, you are sitting there and you're able to articulate because all the numbers are not thumb-sucked. And you know what, we need to also move away from the notion of siphoning money from funders. Like that attitude is not the correct one. You are going to make money for your benefit. You are going to make money at the back end when the business actually starts giving returns, when the business actually grows. That's where you're going to be making money. Stop wanting to front load the money that is supposed to be to your benefit as the business owner, and put it on top of the and make unrealistic expectations and demands and requirements from the funder, because that will set you up for failure. That will set you up for failure, and you're going to be repellent, like you're gonna repel the funder. Okay, yes. Let's look at the last pitfall before I wrap this video up. Pitfall number 5: ignoring a strong team. I say this to all the clients that I consult with. I'm a business coach and I'm a mentor, and everything that relates to business I do. So sometimes I will have consultations with people that need me to assist them with their business planning, with their funding applications, with their compliance documents, with their marketing. Those are the main areas that I focus on, or just basic continuous mentorship and coaching. And in the sessions that I've had, I've realized that this is a major red flag. This is a major problem. It's a pitfall that needs to be avoided. The fact that you ignore a strong team. A funder will also have a question at the back of his or her mind, or their mind, that, okay, this is a beautiful plan, but who is going to be executing this plan? And I know that this can be controversial. What I'm going to say can actually potentially be controversial, but please hear me. Please listen with your heart and hear me. Ne? You can be, okay, let me make an example with our former president. Our former president did not have formal education, but he was able to get to the level of being a whole entire president of South Africa. Ne? Fine. That is evidence. I want to protect the controversy in what I'm going to say. That is evidence that sometimes the standards that are placed on people, that you need to be this and you need to be that in order for you to be able to achieve that, are sometimes not real. You know, there's truth, and then there are those that are able to push beyond that. As long as you are at a point where you are hungry for something, you can be able to achieve it. Right? Now, let's go back to business. In business, a lot of people who start businesses are not qualified for what they are actually doing. Qualified in terms of school, guys. But, and they're succeeding. But the issue is that when it comes to the funder, they will also consider the the education that is aligned to the people that are working for the business. So you need to be strategic in presenting ways to make up for the gaps that you might have. If, for an example, as the CEO, the managing director, the number one of the organization or the business, you don't have qualifications that are like what MBAs and all these things that are deemed to be what drives success, Now, if you don't have that, present a strong team. Present a strong team under you, because then they will say, oh, okay, no, it's okay. He's got the leadership and the guidance element, and he's been doing this with ingqondo yemveli, which is your natural native mind and wisdom, and does not have the qualifications, but at least the team. So the reason why I'm pointing this out is that it's a major pitfall. Sometimes they will say you've got a beautiful plan with great financial projections, with a great business model, with a realistic expectations in terms of what you can be able to achieve, and you have clarified exactly what you're going to do with the money. Like, it's beautiful, but where we are stuck is at the team, the management team, or the team that's going to be working on this program. So when your responsibility is to find a way to present within your business plan the team, don't sleep on this. Don't ignore it, because they feel like sometimes the team can make or break a great plan. Yeah, but so find a way to integrate information that will give the funder some comfort in terms of the team that you're hoping to bring in. So if maybe your business has got sections or units, at least the leaders in those units, like the heads, like maybe managers or supervisors or whatever, must have X qualifications, things like that, so that the funder is able to see, even when you're going to be appointing new people after you have been awarded the fund, you reflect that in this position, we are going to be looking for this qualified person, and this is the reason why we want them qualified, because we want to give the best quality. Focus on presenting a good and strong team. It is another pitfall that we ignore when it comes to applying for funding. And yeah, these are the pitfalls when it comes to funding that you need to avoid as a business if you want investment, resourcing, financing, grant funding to be injected into your business. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're a returning subscriber, I truly appreciate the support. If you're new here and this video helped you in any way, make sure that you consider subscribing, and you also switch on the notification bell so that you are kept abreast of when we put out new content. Now, tell me in the comment section another mistake that you have made in the past, or tell me what you think about some of these mistakes and pitfalls to avoid. Do you think they're a bit harsh? Were you aware of it? I want us to have a conversation in the comment section. So please do engage and tell me what your thoughts are. And if you've got a question that you'd like to ask, drop it in the comment section. And if you want maybe me to assist you with your next funding application, do also drop that in the comment section. Otherwise, that is all from me for today. Until next time, stay absolutely blessed.